My eyes have told me that when when it's blurry, trying to read that small print, old people like me, apparently we need glasses. All right. Hey, everything got zoomed. Everything is zoomed and I'm ready to go. Again, I hope everybody's doing well. It's FriYAY and we're here to enjoy the last day of the week. And with that, I want to welcome you all. This is Ask a Traffic Cop. My name is Shapiro, a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. What do we do here? We answer your traffic and police questions. We do it for an hour, sometimes a little longer. And it is my sincere pleasure to do this. It's really, I was thinking about it this morning on the way in. I am really lucky to be able to do what I do and help people, answering their questions. There's a lot of miscommunication, misunderstanding when it comes to traffic law. It's understandable. Traffic law isn't written in normal language. And if you were to go and read the Highway Traffic Act, you could walk away with it being just as confused as you started, if not more. So, yeah, this is all about trying to make life easy for you. Now, I didn't do something that I should have done this morning, which is log into to TikTok on my. I think I might get kicked out if I do this. I think I have to be on a separate account to watch the live, which is a problem because I can't actually get an easy way to go through and see all your questions. And of course, Q&A doesn't seem to be working because TikTok broke it. I don't know when it's going to get fixed. I hope it's sooner rather than later. Shout out to Big Jeff Fresh this morning, coming in by YouTube. Leo Wife, my wife, coming in by YouTube. Good morning. Acoustics are a bit off this morning. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Let me check the connections here. I'm going to do a little pull. Maybe I messed around with a whole bunch of stuff. I reorganized. You may notice everything looks different. No, everything's the same. I'm differently situated. And that's because we had that episode yesterday and I sort of dismantled my office and studio setup. So we made some changes. I think it's actually better. Now, my camera, the big eye in the sky up here is really far away. I'm playing with that. We'll see. We'll change that. Yeah. How are the acoustics now? Better? Worse? Same? Hopefully you can hear me okay. Is it coming from this microphone? Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So it's like little drumming. All right. What should I do? Okay. Well, first we got questions about disobey stop sign. What should you do? Let me start by getting something I need to talk about out of the way. Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Vision Zero Enforcement Team is a dedicated team in Toronto. They base out of traffic services. They are police officers who are trying to change driver behavior through enforcement. See, I do the education stuff. We talk about what all the laws are, what you should and shouldn't do when you're driving, and what the consequences of breaking those rules are. That's my department. But if you still choose to go out there, or if someone doesn't subscribe to our channel and doesn't know, well, they're going to find out the hard way because they don't hand out hugs, they hand out tickets, and those tickets do affect your driving license. If you choose to make the roads unsafe through speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, or impaired driving, they're going to meet you, they're going to say hello, and it's going to be, autograph and whatnot from their ticket book. Well, electronically now. So where are they today on this fine June 10th? They are in two divisions. They're close together. They border each other. 32 and 33 division. Those are Downsview, Willdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, Parkwood, Donalda, Bayview Village, York Mills. It's the neighborhoods that are within those divisions, because not everybody knows where a division is and what a division looks like, but they know they're neighborhoods, and those are some of them. Hang on one second. I have to fill up my water. Something I didn't do when I should have done it. Here, I'll only half fill it so I don't stand away from the camera too long. Weird background humming on YouTube. I wonder if that's because I'm closer to the fan. It's being picked up. Let me change the angle of this microphone, because I hear humming. There's a little humming. We'll drop the mic a bit. Who knows? Interesting. If you too are hearing humming, let me know. How much humming? A little wonky, kind of tinny, and really. But are you now, Big Jeff? Are you hearing the mic here, or is it here? Or somewhere else. Actually, you've got to be from there. Maybe it's a different, I don't know, we're going to have to work it out. I apologize for any not so wonderful audio. I moved some wires around. Maybe there's some interference. I don't know. We'll have to do some investigations, but not right now. I want to get to questions and do that. Actually, you know what? You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Thank you. Okay, we just figured it out. You know what happened? When I turned on, here we go. When I turned on the equipment this morning, I had logged into, that's what it is. How does it sound now? Because I just changed the input. There we go. Let me know if this is better. It should be better. Cool. So what happened was I turned on our live stream and was setting things up and checking camera angles. Of course, my Zoom P8, which is our soundboard, could not, wasn't on. So it didn't default. The settings all changed. So thank you very much. My wife is always making sure that I sound good. Yeah. And taking care of me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Have to look at the right camera. Lots of cameras here. We have 3 phones. If you're ever wondering how we do this, we have 2 telephones and a camera. Telephone 1, I'm pointing to you now. You're on Instagram. Telephone 2, you are on TikTok. No special order. Just happens to be from left to right. And then up there, you're on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn Live, Facebook, you're everywhere else. And that's something you should all know. If you ever want to watch this again, the replays are all available on YouTube. You can go back and listen to whatever you want to listen to. Okay. Let's get into some questions in the chat. Now, because Q&A is broken, we got to go do this the old-fashioned way, which is scrolling through 1,000 messages. Okay. What do we have here? Good morning. Good morning from Toronto. Good morning, Toronto. We got lots of that. Can you talk about how speed measurement cameras measure speed? Sure, I can talk about it. I can't tell you, more than I know, and that is that they are radar devices that are synced to a camera, so they take photographic evidence when they're tripped. Now, what causes them to trip? What causes them to record your speed? It's your speed, but I don't know what threshold they trigger at. I've been told 10 kilometers. I've been told 9 kilometers. I've been told 3 kilometers. I've also been told that every municipality who manages their own can set it at whatever they'd like to. So there's no easy peasy, sure way to go and be safe speeding, because you know what, speeding is not safe, and those are in school zone areas. They're in specific areas, specifically not wanting you to speed in. In fact, we don't want you to speed anywhere. Driving at anything over the speed limit is against the law, and we don't want you to do it. YouTube account says, do you go on duty? I don't know what you mean. Do you mean, do I go live on duty? I am on duty right now. Now, for anyone who's new to the channel, who's seeing this for the first time, I'll introduce myself to you again. My name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm a police constable. I work at Traffic Services for Toronto Police. Traffic Services is the citywide traffic unit that handles all investigations when it comes to collisions, collisions that result in death, Highway Traffic Act enforcement. We also have a motor squad that does both enforcement and all handles all kind of executive, international protected persons moves. So if we have a presidential visit or a dignitary somewhere that needs a special treatment, not because they just like having an escort, but because we need to move them for their protection expediently through the city. And then additionally, we have the reconstruction unit, and that's part of the investigations of serious collisions. But we do it all here, and we do it for the entire city. But what do I do? Well, this is the Traffic Safety Programs Office, and I'm a media relations officer that represents the unit. And I'm on the wrong channel on Instagram, I just realized. Oh, okay, that's great. Okay. On Instagram, we're on Voiceover Cop channel today, not on Traffic Services channel. Just figure that out. Fun. Okay. If you have any questions, please ask questions in the chat, and I will do my best to get to you. We obviously won't be able to get to everybody, but we will do our best. Now, the YouTube channel, Twitch, LinkedIn Live, Facebook, you can ask questions. It'll all go onto my screen, and we will see and interact with you there. If you are on TikTok, Q&A is broken, so throw it in the chat. We'll do our best. If you are on Instagram Live, please use the Q&A function. And you know what? It's a good idea. I think what we're going to do, for anyone who's watching on VoiceOver Cop right now, we're going to bounce out for a second. We're going to switch over to Traffic Services and go live there. So thanks for that suggestion. I'm going to do that. So head over to Traffic Services Toronto on Instagram if you want to watch us there. Ending there. Okay, posting that. Okay. Things I didn't think I was going to be doing during a live. Here we go. Hey, we're not all perfect. I'm not perfect ever, but I certainly try. But mistakes happen, and here we go. And we're going live, and now we are on the correct channel. Now we're on Traffic Services. Hey, everybody on Traffic Services, watching us from Traffic Services. All right, let's get back into things. YouTube account says, I saw a high-speed chase on the 401. 4 police cars were flying by. It happens. Highway is the fastest way to get to places when you're trying to avoid traffic, and if police officers have to get there, they will go. It may not have been a chase, but it may have been used as a way to get somewhere fast to help people in need. What is this? Can you explain officer discretion? How much are cops allowed to let go? Officer discretion for most charges means that if they choose to give you a warning or not to lay a charge, they can. Now you're talking about criminal stuff. There's no discretion for murder. There's no discretion for beating someone and hurting somebody. That's a different situation. But we're talking about if someone's speeding, if someone's going 5 kilometers over, maybe I'll pull them over, or maybe I won't pull them over at all, or I'll have to give them a printed warning and I won't issue a ticket. That's where the discretion comes in. Minor things, there is a lot of latitude, but it's not to just say I'm not doing any work, and it's not to let people get away with things that they really need to be held accountable for. But that's discretion. It is just that. Okay. Hello from Windsor. Hello, Windsor. How you doing? Winnipeg loves our show. Thank you very much. We love Winnipeg. Actually, I've never been to Winnipeg, but I apparently I need to come by and see Blondie Burger so I can have a burger the size of a pizza box. Let's see here. How do you join the Toronto Police? This is a great question. We actually have an episode, and what I would suggest, rather than us getting too deep into it right now, is go to our YouTube channel. That's Traffic Services Toronto Police, and check out the live that we did yesterday, which was with, it's listed as TPS Traffic Jam Episode 6, and it's with our friends from the Employment Unit who for an hour, we talk all about this kind of stuff, and likely most of your questions will be answered. But you can also go to our website, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers, and that'll have all the information, the requirements to apply. More than that, I would definitely suggest reaching out and speaking to a recruiter. Okay. What's the deal with alcohol drive-throughs? They're allowed 1 beer while you're driving. No, I don't know where that is, but that's not an Ontario or a Canada thing. You cannot consume alcohol or have open alcohol in a vehicle, period. Sealed alcohol, that's different. I've never seen a drive-through store for alcohol before, but certainly not something that's available here. If you got a speed camera ticket and it was a rental vehicle, what if your employer missed to hand over? The rental company is going to forward it to you. I've not heard of people just deciding to absorb it because they would be responsible as the owner. But you sign a contract saying that you will pay any fines that come across their desk that are related to the period of time that you had that the vehicle was in your possession. Okay. And just a follow-up question, does a red light camera ticket affect your insurance? No, it goes against your vehicle, not your driver's license. So it wouldn't affect your insurance. Okay. Let's go here. For some reason, we started buzzing, so I'm going to take the headphones off because I really don't need them. Okay. What is this? Listening to loud music while driving, is it illegal? Having any unnecessary noise emitting from your vehicle, whether it be squealing tires, honking your horn for no reason, revving your engine, having no exhaust, or having a modified exhaust that isn't legal, that's going to lead to a ticket of unnecessary noise. So listening to loud music falls into that category. If you're blasting your tunes and the whole world has to hear you, yeah, you're contributing to less fun for the rest of the community, and you could end up with a ticket. What is a legal tint? This is a question we've never heard before. I can't remember what the button is for my tint question. I think it's this one. Yeah, that's my tint. That's my tint button for the time being. 30% light blockage is the maximum you can have on the windows left and right of the driver. You can't have anything on your front windshield. No tint there. Now, if your vehicle was manufactured before 2017, then you can have a 75 millimeter or 3-inch tint strip across the top, often called a brow. That can be to the PS1 line or 3 inches, whatever happens first. You can't have any reflective tint on the front of your vehicle, whether it be your windshield. You can't have any tint on the windshield, but for the windows left and right of the driver, you have to be able to see into the vehicle. And the windows behind the driver, the rear passenger on the driver or passenger side, and the rear window itself, they can be as dark as you want. What is this? I don't know some of these acronyms. Is underglow light color illegal in Ontario? Is every underglow light color illegal in Ontario? Okay. Underglow isn't specifically illegal, but there are restricted colors. For instance, you cannot project red light in certain directions. You can't have blue or green in certain directions. You can't have intermittent flashing red light anywhere. So that's a thing. You need to, I would avoid those 3 colors. And additionally, if you're, projecting light forward, that is anything other than yellow or white, you're breaking the law. So you got to make sure that your stuff is installed properly, or you're looking to get tickets. And you don't want that. Tickets are never any fun. As a fully G driver, you can't have any alcohol. I don't know if that's a question or a statement. If you have a full G and you're over the age of 21, you can have up to 0.079 in your system and not be charged criminally. You can have up to 0.049 and not be suspended. So let me rephrase this. At 0.05 BAC, blood alcohol content, you're going to get a 3-day suspension roadside. At 0.08 or above, you're going to be charged criminally and be suspended. So can you have some? Yeah, you can if you meet the qualifications. If you're a novice driver or have a condition that says 0 blood alcohol content, obviously it means you can have 0 blood alcohol content. There's a drive-through beer store in Hamilton. No kidding. Never heard of it. Well, actually, I don't spend a lot of time in Hamilton. I do have family in that area, but usually it's a very direct route. I don't look for drive-through beer shops. Arnold says, hello, how are you? I'm doing great. It's FriYAY. It's FriYAY, and I'm looking forward to spending time with the fam. Came off a 2 weeks vacation where I saw them every day. Now only a few days at work, and I feel like I haven't seen them in forever. What is this? Okay. What is this? Someone said if I'm on a super visa, I can't get a G1. Is it true? I don't know what a super visa is, but if you're here as a student, you can apply for a license. Because if you're here for more than 30 or 60 days, you can't use a foreign 60 days. After 60 days, you can't use your foreign license once you become a resident. And someone on a visa is a resident. How long do I have to get my G if my G2 license expired in November of 2020? Fabulous question. We haven't talked about this recently. The answer is that you have up until the 31st of December 2022. So the end of this year, on the last day and the last hour you can drive, you've got to get your G before that expires. I must hydrate. Okay. From working in Toronto, people don't care about tint laws. From working in Toronto, you haven't been stopped yet, but we do stop people and charge people on a regular basis for tint laws. In fact, if you have your windshield tinted, if you are too dark, not only would we charge you for the what's it called? I can't think of the word. Everything's escaped me. I had a train of thought. It's the obscure interior vehicle with coated color or reflective coating. That charge would apply. In addition, if it was windshield, I take your license plates. You're an unsafe vehicle. You wouldn't be driving away. You'd get towed. So it is very serious, and you should not be doing it. Your insurance company would likely not actually cover you if you were in a collision with any of that equipment on, tinted windows that are too dark, because you would be contributing to the reason you're in a collision. Even if you didn't cause the collision, it would likely cause them to reconsider whether or not you should be covered. That blue, the blue strip at the top of your car is allowed. Again, you don't have any punctuation, so I'm assuming it's a question. But no, it only on vehicles manufactured before 2017. Anything newer than that cannot have anything, even that blue strip at the top, or tint strip. Okay. Is a copy of your ownership acceptable in your car? So under the Highway Traffic Act, when an officer makes a demand for your driver's license, your ownership permit, and your proof of insurance, you could have to provide your original, your actual plastic driver's license. You can provide either an original of your motor vehicle permit and or a copy. You can have a true copy, which means both sides. Those are accepted as long as it's a valid copy, and you have to provide either an original pink slip, the actual document, or you can use an electronic copy if the service your insurance provider provides it through the app that they provide. Not all do, mine doesn't. Am I still doing keto? I'm back on keto. I went to Florida. I was not on anything, and I'm back to dropping weight. So, yes, back on keto, getting lighter. What is this? Can dual DSR laser track across multiple lane highways in the opposite direction over medians? I don't know enough about dual DSR laser to answer your question. We use radar for our moving speed measurement, and we use a device that is a handheld laser for laser speed measurement. So I don't know enough about what you're asking to give you a solid answer. But if I can see you with a laser, then I can. But if you're across a median, I'm probably not measuring your speed. Okay. I don't understand the question. Okay, this might be for a different jurisdiction because I'm not used to this wording that I'm seeing. I didn't want to do that. Hang on a second. How do I get rid of this? Apparently I'm going to send. There we go. Got rid of it. What happens with trucks with their tires sticking way out past the fenders? Well, they're breaking their law. They have improper tires. They are not doing the right thing. Their tires are improper. They should get tickets. Hey, we got a bunch of questions that came in from Instagram. Hey, Sarge, you going to join us? Possibly, maybe?
Yeah, I think I will.
I got to plug in your headphones there. I had unplugged everything as I was moving things around. Sergeant Murray Campbell was going to join us. Okay, we're going to go. It's just 3. Bear with me. We'll give some audio up here. Welcome to the party.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
I'm doing all right. What do you think of my desk being moved 3 feet over to the right or the left?
I know you have some plans. We may be doing a little bit of movement in here.
Yeah.
Getting you a little better space to work at us.
We might even have like no carts driving by or people having conversations in the hall beside the microphone. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Okay, let's. Okay, a question says, will a police officer randomly run a plate to be proactive? So the question being, as we drive around in our motor vehicles, patrolling the streets, will a police officer run a plate? And the answer is absolutely yes, we will. Not necessarily every plate, and not because we may be doing other things. There's also the introduction of new products on the market, automatic plate scanners that will do it automatically and alert us when there's an issue, like no insurance or an unlicensed driver or a suspended driver, that sort of thing. So yeah, proactive policing, we're all about that.
I have a feeling that's going to happen an awful lot more now that license plate validation stickers have been phased out. This is going to be our only way to tell if you've actually renewed your plates. And even though you don't have to pay for it, you still have to do it.
Absolutely. You're still required to renew and provide all the information and declare what the mileage is on your vehicle. So you're still required to do it. And it won't let you do it if you don't pay your fines. So there's a reason also that you have to keep clicking that box and making sure that you do the things you need to do to keep going forward. And not all vehicles are exempt from paying. Some have to.
Yeah.
There's a question from Instagram. I got a speeding ticket from the speed cam. The zone is 40, but the GPS said 50, and I was doing 51. Can I fight it? So the answer to that is you're responsible based on what the signage says and what the law is, not what the information from your GPS is. And that may be frustrating. I totally get it. But yet you're obligated to follow the rules of the road, not the GPS. The GPS is just there as a convenience aid, and they may or may not accept any of that information as a defense. But you could certainly go and talk to them about it. Maybe talk to a prosecutor in advance.
And you know what? An awful lot of the zone has changed a lot in Toronto. The Vision Zero team looks at the data for where collisions occur and where the most risk is. And some roads, it was determined that the speed had to go down to keep everyone safe. So they may be a recent change, and your GPS may not be updated yet.
Absolutely. Question is, if someone stole my vehicle ownership, can I still drive my vehicle? Well, I have some advice for you. One, report the fact that the document with your personal information was stolen. I don't know how that would have happened. I imagine they would have broken into your car or your home, because stealing things usually require some contact. Additionally, I would get a new one because you're obligated to have one when you're driving your motor vehicle. You need to surrender it upon demand. So yes, you can still drive it, but I would go drive directly to the ministry and get them to reprint it.
Sean, I would add a little bit more to that. It's legal to keep a true copy of both the front and back of the ownership in your vehicle, and I would suggest you do that actually, so that the original one doesn't go missing. Something that we have found is somebody may steal your car. and take that original ownership, sign the back pretending to be you,
And sell it.
and sell your car, collect the money for it, and run away.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't even want to leave copies in my car. I carry my ownership in my wallet because I'm concerned that someone will break into my car and find out where I live. So, I have more concerns than some, but I choose to leave nothing in the vehicle for that reason. Never mind an original. But that's just me. We have a question of, are radar detectors illegal? And I know, Sergeant Campbell loves radar detectors.
radar detectors are not legal in the province of Ontario. Not legal to even possess. The only time they can be in, if they're manufactured here, they can be in transit. They have to be in the sealed container, the sealed original box, and then transported outside of the province. The Highway Traffic Act gives us an awful lot of authority, more than actually the criminal code does, to allow for search and seizure of radar detectors. And that includes searching people that are found in the car as well, and sometimes disassembling a car to be able to locate it. So, you know what? They're not legal here, and the fines, while not overly outrageous, you may have a police officer able to go into your car and search for things that you may not want.
And hopefully you have tools to put it back together after we take it apart, because we're not responsible for that.
Yeah, we don't put it back together.
So it's $170 for the fine, 2 demerit points, and you just shouldn't do it, because the whole idea of speed measurement and enforcement is to prevent people from doing what they're doing and making the roads safer. See, when you speed, it's less safe. That's why we don't want people doing it. And when you have a radar detector, you temporarily change your behavior to avoid getting a ticket and then continue doing it afterwards. So that's why you can't prevent. That includes jammers too. You can't have a jammer on your car because it prevents the measurement of your speed. Interesting things. Okay, we got a question here that's popped up. What is this? Can we custom paint a motor vehicle? Can you paint your car a different color or a design than factory? And the answer is yes, you can, but you have to disclose and update your ownership as to what the color is. You have to report within 6 days of that change to the ministry. So if it was red and now it's blue, you got to do that. If it's now a rainbow, it's got to be multicolor listing, and that is something that will actually make your life better. See, when we pull up behind a vehicle and it says it's red, but we look at it and it's blue, that might be a stolen vehicle with stolen plates, and we want to pull it over to investigate. So you may get pulled over and you wonder, why am I always pulled over? Well, that might be the reason. What do we have here? PC Sean Shapiro, do you think that Edmonton police chief deserves a $340,000 salary? That's a good salary.
Yeah.
I have no idea what. I imagine that's actually probably on par for a police chief. I've never been in the running for it, so I've never really looked into what they make. But I think that's somewhere in the range of what all chiefs make.
You know what? It is a bit of a stressful job, very political. Well, they still have to manage a massive service and a massive amount of people and infrastructure. So, it seems pretty reasonable.
So there's 2 questions. The first one is, can we see if you have insurance when we pull you over? The second one is talking about e-bikes. So we'll start with the insurance and then we'll go to the e-bikes. Insurance, when we pull someone over, we have the ability of seeing whether or not the system has checked recently and confirmed status of insurance. That is not a definitive answer for insurance validity. That is within 15 days, roughly. So we don't rely on that. We still ask for your insurance documents, and if there's any question, we'll still call your insurance company and verify directly with them. And here's the funny thing about insurance. We have 3 years to lay that charge. So very often, officers will take time after a stop to confirm insurance status rather than keeping it at the side of the road, and may knock on your door and lay charges after the fact. But at the side of the road, there's an indication if the ministry thinks you have insurance, but that's not a definitive answer. When we talk about e-bikes, it's a great opportunity to talk about e-bikes and electric vehicles and all the safety that comes around with them. Motorcycles and motor vehicles and e-bikes, they're all kind of motor vehicles. Well, they're all motor vehicles. The difference is that there's legislation turning a bicycle with an electric motor on it into an e-bike if it conforms to certain rules. Those are, not being able to exceed 32 kilometers an hour, not having a motor of greater power than 500 watts, and so on. There's a bunch of other things. If you modify those, it's a motorcycle. It requires a license. It requires a proper insurance to be on it. It requires a license plate and registration. So it's still a motor vehicle. It just has magic on it to make it be accepted as something other than a motor vehicle. And we see a lot of people who modify e-bikes and make them illegal. So why am I bringing this up? Because you got to know when people, because there's dealers who will tell you, just pull this wire, just do this thing, just hack the program, twist the thing. That makes it illegal. Now, if we talk about legal ones, if they're pedal electric, where if you pedal it, it augments, it gives you a little boost in power. Those can be used pretty much anywhere a bicycle can be used. There are other electric bicycles that have pedals, but they're kind of useless because you can't use them as scooter style. Those can't be used everywhere. They can be used in bicycle lanes, but not in bicycle tracks, and you need to know the difference. Some great information on bicycling in the city of Toronto at www.toronto.ca. I think it's well, actually, if you go to the main site and search bicycle or biking, you'll find it. But there's a detailed chart of where and what you can do with each style. Now, under the whole topic of electric vehicle, we have e-kick scooters. And many people have heard about the fact that there's a pilot in play in Ontario that allows the use of e-kick scooters in some municipalities. I say some because each municipality had to adopt those rules. They're not automatically in place. So in the city of Toronto, you cannot use e-kick scooters. Likewise, you can't use electric skateboards. You can't use one-wheel unicycles. You can't use any of these vehicles that are prohibited. And there's a lot of them. They're prohibited, and they are motor vehicles. And depending on how the investigation goes through, you could be charged for using a motor vehicle without license, ownership, and insurance. And that insurance, $5,000 to $25,000. First conviction, along with up to 6 months in jail. Now, is everyone being pulled off their vehicles and being charged? I can tell you that there's an education phase of enforcement. We're trying to let people know as best we can of what they can and cannot do. They're dangerous vehicles. I recently saw a horrible crash where someone on a one-wheel came into contact with a car, and they are going to, it's going to be it's bad. It's bad. And these are dangerous vehicles. There's no way to stop, at least not emergency stopping, especially the one-wheel vehicles. And they aren't even permitted in parks. Like, they're nowhere in the city of Toronto. So with that, I've gone too far down the rabbit hole on e-bikes, but I wanted to try and give you some info. Let's see here. Are spinners legal in cars? Spinners, I think what you mean is like for hubcaps or wheel accessories, secondary spinning. Sergeant Campbell, have you ever dealt with legality surrounding spinning hubcaps?
No, never. And I don't see why they wouldn't be legal.
I could see it where in a collision they could become detached and become like ninja stars flying through the air. Yeah, but I'm not aware of any law.
So could your hubcaps as well.
True. So yeah, I've never seen it.
I don't think there'll be any issue with them.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still cool though.
Well, there is that. I wasn't going to say that.
Listen, was it the 90s or the 80s when they were cool?
Oh, I would have to say 90s.
90s?
Yeah, I think 90s.
Yeah, because in the 80s we were just wearing baggy pants.
Parachute pants in the 80s.
Yeah. I had parachute pants with Velcro closures. I thought they were so cool, and they were neon. Yeah. What if a motorcycle does a wheelie and didn't mean to? That's interesting that you bring up the didn't mean to. So the inability to drive safely, does it make you not guilty of stunt driving? Because stunt driving, if you truly, if you intentionally take a wheel off the road, that's stunt driving. Unintentionally, like you pop the clutch and you stall, that's not stunt driving. That's an oops-to-do. But if you how would you interpret that, Sarge?
You know what? If you are driving in a manner that is that is so outrageous that it's causing the front wheel of your motorcycle to come up, intentional or not, that would be careless. Absolutely.
Careless.
You're no longer in control. You're not able to steer it. Now, I know some people, myself included, can wheelie for quite a long time on, say, off-road vehicles or things like that. Have done in the past, but no, on the roadway, it would be careless.
And why is this doing this? There we go. Thought I wanted to chat with someone in particular. Let's see here. Do you chase someone on a dirt bike that doesn't have a helmet? So dirt bikes on private property, your own private property, not a trail, not a road. There's no requirement for a helmet, so I'm not chasing anybody there. On a road, dirt bikes aren't permitted to be on the road unless they're dual purpose and licensed for the road, and not a helmet would be a reason to stop them. On a trail, I don't police the trails, but I imagine someone would stop you for that too.
Yeah, you know what? You need a helmet anytime you're operating an off-road vehicle that is not on your own property, owned specifically by you. So if you're on your friend's property, on your friend's farm, you still need one.
I got a great question here, and it's something we talked about yesterday when we spoke to the folks at the employment unit, our talent acquisition unit. And it is, what to do if I have a bad driving record and want to become a cop? It's a good question. See, if it's a dated thing, when you were younger and you're much older now and you've matured and you can explain that, maybe you made some bad decisions, but you learned from them, and you, in the last 5 years, have not had any driving infractions, I think that would be something that they would look at, and you might be able to explain away. You've made changes in your life that were significant. If your record of driving has been consistently poor from the day you were licensed till yesterday, I think that you may have to wait and show change before you'd be accepted. Now, I can't speak on behalf of the employment unit, but that's along the lines of what I've always believed, and we had a discussion along those lines yesterday on our episode, which you can watch on YouTube, by the way. You can go to Traffic Services Toronto Police and watch the entire episode, which is TPS Traffic Jam, Episode 6.
You know what? A big portion of our job involves operating vehicles, no matter what you're doing in this job. So we don't want you to crash our cars. So, and you know what? Driving behavior shows an awful lot. It requires restraint, and that you definitely need in this job.
Yeah, I mean, our job is to enforce laws. If you don't respect them and have shown that you simply do not respect the laws yourself, how can we then ask you to wear a uniform, represent us, and represent the law and enforce it? So that's a big thing.
Yep, absolutely.
It's often said how you do one thing is how you do everything. So it's an indication as to who you are, and if you change your behavior, you are no longer that person. I mean, you still have the same ID.
Well, yes.
Let's see here. Oh, hi from Australia. Well, hi, Daniel. Apparently, this is his second time on TikTok, and this is so good. Well, I'm so glad. Welcome to this app. It's a fantastic platform. We've been here for well over a year, and we have a lot of fun here engaging with people from all around the world talking about traffic safety and traffic law. So there you go. We will we welcome you. Follow us. Come by. We do this every day from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. answering traffic and police questions specifically to Ontario law. Very often things that apply to other places, and traffic safety stuff is safe everywhere. Just good advice. But if you ever have questions, let us know. And I miss Australia. I was there for quite some time. I have family in Australia, so thanks for saying hi. Okay, someone says there are no laws for motorcycles. Just don't rob a bank. Yeah, there are laws. There are laws for motorcycles. A lot of folks have a lot of interesting ideas about laws, though. Okay, it's 12 o'clock in Australia. Midnight? What's the time change? 26 hours?
I have no idea.
It's over a day. It's a day and a bit. How long do points stay on your record? So the MTO affixes points upon conviction, but they stay on based on the date of offense. So 2 years from the date of offense, and they're applied only at conviction. A conviction, however, stays on your record for 3 years, and that's from the date that you are convicted or pay the bill.
Your conviction record and your point accumulation have two different time frames.
Yes.
So yes, we can still see that you got convicted of something. Your insurance company as well. We'll see it. But points are only accumulated, and they're assigned by the ministry for use by the ministry to determine whether you should actually have a driver's license or not.
Yes. The whole idea of demerit points is to sort of keep track of you and communicate with you, because after a certain number of demerit points, they send you a letter and go, hey, you should really change your not so great driving behavior. And at another level, they're going to say, you now have to attend a course or you lose your license and ultimately suspend your license if you continue. Yep. And it's different thresholds for different driver statuses. So if you are driving a vehicle that has if you are a learner permit, if you have a G1, G2, and you are accumulating points, well, first of all, anything that has more than 4 points on a ticket for a G1, or actually any graduated, gives an instant suspension, as far as from what I understand.
If it's a ticket under the graduated licensing.
Is it just for those, or is it any ticket that triggers for 4 points and above?
No,
I think there's a threshold for that. I read a lot of stuff, and it all turns into mush, and eventually I sort the mush out and create more mush. I don't know. What are the 3 dots on my G license?
Maybe 4 dots.
I was going to say 4 dots, and in the olden days, it used to be a red bar under your picture that had stars, and the stars would denote the number of years. If you qualified, you had 4 stars, saying that you had the ability to supervise a G1 driver 4 years experience. The 4 dots that are vertically arranged by your mini-me in the bottom right-hand corner of your Ontario license, they effectively mean the same thing. They're just less starry.
Yeah, without those, even though you may think you have 4 years of driving experience, without those on your driver's license, you are not qualified to supervise a G1 driver.
I didn't know that you had to have it on there.
Absolutely.
I learned so much from the sergeant. You know, I just assumed that was when you renewed. It also verified, but until the time that you exchange it,
Yes.
you're not good to.
Yep.
Good to know. Good to know.
Because you may have a period of time, your start date to the current date may be way more than 4 years, but you may have a period of time where you were ineligible, or you were suspended, or you were
Very
out
good
of
point.
the province,
Yes.
or all these things. So you do have to wait until you're 4 dots.
So many people don't realize that when you are gaining your experience, any time that you were suspended doesn't count towards that experience. So if you had an impaired driving charge, you lost your license for a year, that year doesn't count. Additionally, it could be from G2 onward, but you make very good points. He makes good points.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. We had, would you advise always contesting tickets? Well, I certainly wouldn't, because contesting tickets cost taxpayers money, and if you're contesting it just to try and spin the roll the dice and try and get out of something that you're guilty of, I think you should reevaluate how you drive and what you do. But if you are actually innocent and think you've been wrongly accused, or if there's an error or an issue that would legitimately defend your actions, then certainly you have the right to. We just see the court system that's inundated with people just rolling the dice.
Yeah. You know what? There's a process in place where we would have to provide the evidence that you are guilty of an offense. If you honestly believe it, that's what it's meant for.
Yes.
Just winging it and going through.
Hoping the officer doesn't show up, or
You know what? That is your right. It 100% is your right. But it also bogs down other people who want the opportunity to actually fight their ticket.
sure. And very often people fight just to get points off and don't realize that the points don't change your insurance, because they're trying to save insurance dollars.
Right.
Really, the thing you want to do when you get tickets is change your driving behavior, because it's a lesson. That's the whole process of getting a ticket is trying to change your behavior. It's to keep you safe and everybody else on the road safe. But if you don't change your behavior and you just keep driving that way and you get more tickets, something's wrong. There's a problem with this scenario. John Parent says, doing a great job, guys. And thank you very much. Much appreciated. Let's see here. Okay, what do we have? Oh, and apparently the Sarge makes good points. That's why he's the boss. It's Big Jeff Fresh voicing out some knowledge there. Apparently which one was this in regards to? There was thanks to an answer that was spot on. However, I don't know what we were spot on about, but I appreciate that. Apparently, we're occasionally right.
Well, you know what?
Or
That's
at least
good.
in the right zone.
We're trying anyways.
Yes. Someone made a comment, and it scrolled by because we're in this live thing, saying that tax dollars are being spent to have us on TikTok. It was along those lines, although I'm paraphrasing. And yes, that is correct. So I love these questions. I love interacting with the comments, and it gives us the opportunity to talk about the good that we're doing. So prior to the pandemic, when we really weren't on social media to this level in this format, doing this on a daily basis, you're right. We didn't spend time here. We went to shows, trade shows, and we would speak to pockets of people, small groups. Mind you, thousands of people would go to the show, but we'd have a few people hanging out with us, having discussions for a few minutes, and then the next person would come up and have a similar discussion. This way, we're speaking to hundreds of people. We're also recording the answers, and we're making that available as a library to speak to people forever. It's just always available. So this is the most cost-effective way to communicate, and it allows you, from the comfort of your home in your pajamas, to assuming you're at home at 10 o'clock in the morning, in your pajamas, you get to talk to a police officer and get answers to your questions. So we've had tremendous positive response. We've got 567,000 some odd people on TikTok alone, not to mention other platforms, and we're growing every day. So I appreciate that you may not appreciate us, but many do, and we'll keep doing it. We have plans on expanding what we do.
And you know what, Sean? What a great way. I'm speaking about you specifically. An officer with a great amount of experience, lots of traffic knowledge, but unable right now to go out and do on the road policing.
So, again, to give people background on what the sergeant's talking about, is I was involved in a motor vehicle collision in 2018, and I was injured in that collision, was unable to go on the road, still am unable to go on the road. I'm not qualified to participate in use of force or carry a firearm right now, so I'm not on the road able to perform the duties of a police officer in the full capacity. But I am able to contribute by way of knowledge and in other ways and still provide value, and some would say I'm doing a pretty good job of it. So it's really exciting for me because in the beginning, before we did this, I was really down in the dumps. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I joined this job to help people, and here I am unable to do that, and it really bothered me because pushing paper wasn't my thing. I did it, but it wasn't really my thing. Doing this allows me to engage and help people, and I love it. I really do. And this isn't the only thing that I do. It's just one part of the things that I do. We're also involved in training officers in terms of creating content to train both internally and externally. I get to work with the media and share information and knowledge in all sorts of ways. So it's really cool. And again, I think we're just going to keep growing on this. We've had the chief on the show. Now we're doing a podcast called TPS Traffic Jam, where we talk to different people from different areas of policing. Yesterday we were on with employment. And by the way, if you are interested in becoming a police officer, now is a great time because we have to hire hundreds of them because people are retiring. We're a big city. We need people to come to this job. If you think you'd be a good police officer, consider checking our website out, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. Great information. You can also follow TPS Recruiting on all the platforms. So yeah, let's see here. Here's it. Besides the good these lives have done, 100% times outweigh the very minute cost it takes to make these lives. You're absolutely right. This is a comment from one of our viewers saying that the cost to reward investments, return on investment. This is there's no question that this is a good value for the dollar.
Yep, I totally agree.
There are other services that pay external companies to do what we do, and we do it all in-house. This started as a pilot project where we just did it ourselves. We had it was bubble gum and glue and some paper mache, and we made things happen. And now with the service really seeing the value and potential, 100% behind it. So it's amazing. And I think that police services across the planet are going to be doing very similar things. At least we hope so, because everyone comes onto our channel and says, hey, is this available in my area? And we're happy to help any service that needs some guidance to get them started. Many have reached out. Chicago police reached out and said, hey, can we come down and watch you guys and see how you do this? Because we want to do this for us, and that's awesome. And I've also run into police officers who have said, you know what, I've been so outside of traffic enforcement and traffic law that I use your channel to brush up on my skills because they themselves are stuck doing what they do, and they focus on, criminal enforcement, but they still have opportunities to learn about what's current in policing when it comes to traffic. So we become a resource for all sorts of people. It's really cool. And again, I know it started as a slag comment to try and suggest we were doing something wrong by being here, and it's a great opportunity, and that's why I love it so much, to talk about the good that we do. So very cool. What is this? If a private business buys exclusive rights to park on the street, can they put signs on the street? Okay, so erecting signs requires a bylaw, and I don't think you can just put up a sign. You may have a permit, but you'd have to talk to the local municipality about erecting signs.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what you're asking there. The roadway, not just the highway, but the roadway is property of the municipality or the town or the provincial jurisdiction that the roadway is under. I don't know if you can actually buy a portion of that. I've never heard of that happening before. So
yeah, I was going on an assumption that what he was talking about was factual in some way or possible in his area. But the whole concept of putting up a sign, for sure, you got to talk to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because otherwise bad things happen. Let's see here. We have answered here. We got a whole bunch. We have some friends of the show who are answering questions like crazy in the chat, and I really appreciate it. I know that they haven't been able to hang out the way normally recently, but I really appreciate all the people who have helped out and moderated over the time that we've been doing this channel, and they are really appreciated. Kind folks who volunteer their time to help us out. Okay. Isn't he here to answer questions? Tequila wants to know, and I don't know what we're talking about because I can't see all of the questions. They scroll by so very quickly. But if you have questions and they haven't been answered by moderators or myself, please let us know. You may have to ask a couple times.
We got to get TikTok fixed.
Yeah, TikTok is really broken right now. And they normally, I'd see everything in a nice orderly list, and I'd be able to select it, put it on the screen so everyone could read it, and it is broken. Okay. What is the law about TTC buses pulling out of bus stops? Well, you have to yield. So you have to allow the bus out. There's a sign on the back of the bus that says yield, and there is actually a law that supports that.
Yeah, and it's all reasonableness. If you are right beside the bus when it is coming out, then no, you have the right of way to go. You're in the lane already, and you're occupying it. If you are behind the bus, you have to yield and let the bus in. You have to, or move out of its way.
Yes, and
safely.
It's all about safety, and most of the laws are really based on common sense. If it doesn't make sense, it probably isn't the law.
Right.
Well, we can't say it for everything, but
you know what? They create laws because somebody has done something that didn't make sense.
And rules at work too.
Yeah. There you go.
Let's see here. What is the charge for stealing a road sign? Theft under, likely.
Mischief. Yep. And you know what? It could be mischief endangering life if you're taking away a
stop sign
or a yield sign or something like that. So criminal and could really hurt somebody and end up getting yourself in an awful lot of trouble. By the way, all the signs in behind Sean there, they're not real.
They're not. These are all on corrugated plastic. They were made for a trade show booth, and that trade show booth is right behind me. So this is all faux. We didn't steal any signs. Okay, question from Mullet Man: if an officer is moving homes, let's say they move from Toronto to the U.S., will they go through the academy again? I know it's not really a traffic question, but I'm just curious. So excellent question, and I can speak to some of this. Even it depends on what school and what training you have. Now, in the United States, you must be a citizen. If you're moving from Toronto to the United States, you'd have to be a citizen. In almost every state, there are a couple, like I think Colorado, Alaska, they will accept a Canadian, but almost everywhere else must be a citizen before you can apply to a police force or be sworn to a police service. When you talk about going within Canada, they will accept many colleges, and then they just have to do updates because we have different laws in every province, things that are slightly different. So some services, if it's within the province, we're all covered. I was trained at the Ontario Police College. Any police officer in Ontario would be trained there. They may have local rules and bylaws and things and service procedures that they would train me on, but the actual certification as a police officer would be done. Other jurisdictions may require you to do some level of training.
Yep, absolutely. If you're coming from a different province, some of them recognize, some of them not. The Maritimes in Canada has one police college out there, and all the Maritime provinces send their recruits to be trained there. And it is reciprocal. You get a good portion, you get a good foundation, and you may require just a refresher, a short-term refresher when you come to Ontario. RCMP, same thing.
Absolutely. Yes, because they know lots of stuff, but they may not know what's local, and you got to know what's local.
Yep.
In addition to the federal laws. So we have a question about booster seat requirements. So I have a bunch of videos that are on booster seats in particular, or at least all of the stuff. Before a child can stop using a booster seat, that's something I can address very easily. And you have to be 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9" before you can. Any one of those things would prevent you from requiring a booster seat. To get into a booster seat, there's 3 stages. You have the rear-facing bucket when they're infants, then you have toddlers, and so on. And I don't recall the exact ages and weights to go between those, but it is available on the Ministry of Transportation website, and they have all the details within that. So it's easy to Google that, and I'll send you there because I don't want to give you any guesses. I want to give you facts.
And you know what? Seat manufacturers as well will rate them for certain ages, certain weights.
You have to always eat, regardless of what the requirement is for the law, you also have to look at the requirements and the limitations of the seat. Someone may say between certain ages, but then you hit the maximum weight rating of that seat, and that would invalidate it, would be unsafe for that child. So again, law and safety are 2 separate things. Even though a child is 8 years old, they may not be big enough to be safe outside of a car seat and should stay in a booster seat longer. Even if they are eligible to go to a forward-facing seat from a rear-facing seat. Doctors will tell you that it's safer to keep them rear-facing until they're 4 years old, which I couldn't do because my children were tall. I'm tall. I know I look small on the screen, but I'm 6'5", and I keep meeting people in person. And they keep saying, "You look so much bigger when in person." I'm like, "I thought you were a short bald guy. You're a tall bald guy." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Yes, okay. How do you differentiate stunt and reckless? Well, reckless is an American terminology, or at least not an Ontario terminology. I don't know about other provinces. We have careless, and we have dangerous. Careless is a Highway Traffic Act charge. Dangerous is probably what reckless is, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so careless is doing something without due care and attention for anybody that's using or ought to be using the roadway. So you're not driving with due care and attention. Dangerous is when you're driving in a manner specifically that puts others in danger. So you're doing something that is intentional.
Intentional is the big thing, because criminal really involves intent for the most part.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely, that there's a difference. And stunt is a sidebar, because there's a whole bunch of things that qualify as stunt. So traveling at 50 over the speed limit if your speed limit is 80 kilometers or more, traveling at 40 kilometers over the speed limit if you are in a zone that is under 80 kilometers for the posted limit, intentional loss of traction, so donuts, drifting, if you take a wheel off the ground, wheelies, endos, things like that. Those are all stunt driving, and they don't require necessarily all of the other things, although you might be able to combine things.
Absolutely. I've actually laid a stunt driving, a distracted driving, and a careless driving at the same time, and the circumstances warranted it.
And yeah, and that's, I like layering things. You know, you really cover the scope of the offenses.
Well, two separate things. If you pick up your cell phone for distracted driving, as soon as you pick it up, the offense is complete. You don't have to be using it, you just have to have it in your hand. Then to use it and to not pay attention to where you're going or doing stuff without paying attention, that's careless as well.
Absolutely. You know, someone who drives through a stop sign, simply going through the stop sign, is running a stop sign. Going through multiple stop signs, we're looking at careless, maybe more. Is there a lot of job security in the police service? I think that generally speaking, police service has good job security. If you do the right thing, we don't usually let people go in Toronto or in the GTA. I can't speak to other services just because, you know, budgetary. We usually hang on to our people. It costs a lot of money to train us, and we tend to stick around. I know that in smaller communities, and especially in the United States, there seems to be a lot more turnover, and I can't speak to why. Just that's my understanding. So there you go. But yes, I would say there's a lot of job security as long as you're not doing something wrong. Obviously, there's no job security for people who break the law, whether you're a police officer or otherwise. Not that that's a problem. We don't have a lot of that, but it does happen on occasion. Let's see here. What do we have here? Trying to read what we are. I'm scrolling back looking for questions. Let's see if there's anything here. If you've got questions, feel free to use the chat. I'd say use Q&A, but it's broken. And feel free to talk amongst yourselves. And if you don't already follow us, please do. That's one thing I usually say, and I neglected to say because I've been so busy trying to scroll through the chat. Something I do want to mention is we have over 1,000 followers on our YouTube channel, but we'd always like to get more. We don't make ad revenue. There's no reason other than we'd like to see numbers grow. It makes us, it suggests that we're doing something right. So please follow us there. Please follow us everywhere. You can get us on Twitter at Traffic Services. You can get us at Traffic Services Toronto on Instagram. You can get us at Traffic Services on Twitch. And as I say, Traffic Services Toronto Police on YouTube. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. And I'm also on there on my own accounts. You can get me at VoiceOver Cop, and I'm on all platforms under that title. What do we have here? What's the max age recommended to join the force? So there's no max age. I can tell you that as soon as you're 18, you're eligible to apply. However, you may not have enough life experience to actually get hired at that point. Is an average of late 20s, early 30s is the average age range that we see people being hired. But when I got through, I was 38 because I was a auxiliary officer volunteering, and simultaneously I was a court officer working in courthouse security and things that we did. At the time I was a supervisor, but duties of a court officer are much and intertwined with special constable in that we do prisoner transportation and courthouse security, things of that nature. And then I transferred to police constable, and I was again 38. In my class, someone was 52. So there's no bad time. If you decide that's the job you want to have, you should do the job you want. I totally support that. Let's see here. When backing out of a driveway or anything along those lines, if there are cars parked on the side of the street and you can't see, would anyone be at fault if a collision, we don't say accident, but when an accident happens when backing out? So yeah, you're still responsible for the movement of your vehicle. Generally speaking, if you're in a street that, I try and back in everywhere so I can always safely and easily drive out. But yeah, you're responsible regardless of parked cars for the movement of your vehicle. You need to see what you're doing before you do it. And that causes some issues. You would be entering the roadway and you'd be responsible. So entering from a private drive or failing to yield from private drive is an offense. And can you change a song with one tap using a phone mounted while driving? So technically speaking, the only action you're permitted to do is through a tap or swipe, answer or end a call. Choosing to change music, not a supported thing. But here's a great thing about iPhones and most connected devices. If you say, hey, whatever the name of the device is, next song, play this music. And I do it all the time because I get requests for Frozen 2 soundtracks from my kids. So, I'll just tell Siri, play this song, and magically it happens. And that's what I would suggest. Don't touch your phone unless it's to answer or receive. And you don't even need to do that. You can say, hey, device, answer my call, or use an integrated Bluetooth device. Now you can simply hit a button on your Bluetooth. Mine's on my steering wheel for answering calls. That's what I use. Now, using those buttons are perfectly legitimate for that. If it's a part of your car console, your vehicle console, you can touch those. Now, granted, if it affects your driving and causes a collision or causes you to unsafely navigate your vehicle, you start swerving because you're changing the air conditioning. It's not distracted driving, but it is careless driving, so you can still be charged. What we got here? I was about to hit the Q&A button that doesn't exist. What do we hear? Let's scroll to the bottom and see if new stuff has come in. Slow people in the passing lane. So, I'm glad you call it a passing lane, not a fast lane. But in truth, there is no law of passing lane. It is just what we commonly refer to it as. And in truth, you cannot exceed the speed limit in any of them. The goal is to have slower moving traffic to the right. And in some areas, you'll see signs to that effect. And if you're slower moving and on the left, you can get a ticket for disobey sign. But you could also be charged for unnecessary slow driving if there's no reason for you to be going slow and you are still going slow, and more specifically, preventing traffic from moving, or what's the word? I can't remember the word I'm looking for, but there is a word I'm looking for, and it talks about keeping traffic slow for no reason. Yeah. If there is a reason, you can do it. So not that your vehicle doesn't go faster, but if there's a flock of seagulls swerving in your path and you're slowing down because they decide to maintain 80 kilometers in 100 and that you can't go anywhere because there's a flock of seagulls there, you can't drive into the flock of seagulls. You obviously have to slow down. Does anyone know what a flock of seagulls is? Yeah, anyway. Sean Chen, aloha. Long time no see, buddy. Okay. Emma thanks me for not setting off her Google because we have the power to mess with Google assistants. Yes. I've heard of people doing this, and then hundreds of Alexas trigger across the planet. Okay. What is this? Impeding. Yeah, you put in pending, but you helped me out anyway. Thank you very much, Mr. Dorian's cat. It's impeding traffic, not impending, but I love it. It helped me. That's the word. Hilltop Wilderness, impede. There you go. Yeah, and Emma was, as I scroll back, Emma was right on it with impeding. Lately, I don't know if it's an age thing, if it's a sleep thing, if it's a combination of too many words stored in my noggin. Any way you cut it, I occasionally reach for a word and it's not there. So thank you for everyone who came to my rescue. Okay. Can you use a phone at a red light? I know it's been answered in chat, but it's worthy of addressing it for everyone to hear? And the answer is no. You cannot touch your phone. You can't even have it in your lap. Your phone, you're still driving, even when you're at a red light. You're still responsible for paying attention to what's going on around you. And if you touch or use your phone at a red light or otherwise, you are breaking the law. So the only time you can use a telephone, a handheld communication device, handheld entertainment device, or looking at a device of any kind is when you're legally parked. You have to be legally parked. Now, you can look at a phone in GPS mode, but you cannot alter or enter data for destinations and so on. It has to be done before you get into motion. Okay. What can one receive if they pass in a double yellow zone? So, double yellow zone, I've never heard it called a zone before, but if you cross a double yellow or single yellow line, or white line for the matter, it's not a charge. In Ontario, it's not a charge. Other jurisdictions, it is a charge. You need to know what the law is for where you live and where you're driving. But in Ontario, there's no law for crossing that solid line. It is not necessarily safe, though. So the solid line suggests what's going to happen. A, there may not be sufficient visibility. B, there may be traffic coming at you. Yellow line means the traffic on the other side of that line is coming at you. White line means that they're going the same direction as you. Little things that many people don't realize. But if you cross that line that's solid and cause a collision, you're still causing that collision. If you and you'll be charged for it. If you cross a line and there's a sign to support that you shouldn't be doing it, like it says, "Do not cross the solid line," that sign is enforceable, so you'd be disobey sign. We were just talking about stuff and things.
Stuff and things. Sorry, I had to just jump out there.
You have to do what you have to do.
Police work.
Yes, it comes, it goes, it's things. Let's see here. What if you cross the line into an opposite lane? So crossing a solid line into the opposite lane, again, you can cross the line. And for instance, turning, you can turn. You have to make sure it's safe to do so. And if you cause a collision, that's a problem. But people are shocked that it's not against the law to cross the line.
To cross a line.
Yes, crossing a painted line on the road.
Like a solid line?
Solid line.
Yes, you can do it. The lines are advisory, and they're there to keep you safe.
It's amazing how that works. And then I love sharing the fact that the yellow line means the traffic's coming at you and white line means the traffic on the other side is going the same direction. It's something that I only learned later in life. I really didn't understand the nuances of the color, what they meant.
You know what? And you'll notice it on the highways. If you're on a multi-lane highway, all the lines in between are all white because everybody's going the same way.
I'm being harassed by telephone calls on other line. And they're wondering why I'm not answering. I'm not answering because I can't answer. Okay.
It's after 11, though. You should answer.
Yes, and actually, it's after 11. I got a lot of stuff to do. So it's been a slice. I really do appreciate you guys coming and spending time with us. We'll be back on Monday. Have a fabulous weekend. If you're going to drive sober. No drugs, no alcohol. That's a big thing for us. We are out there looking for people who are breaking the law. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. We're always looking for impaired drivers, people who speed, drive aggressively, or drive distracted. So be good to each other, be safe, and we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Hasta luego.